Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our dear sister. The message reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? So when I dated my boyfriend, the one that I met in South Africa, the time that I went with him back home, I never imagined that my father was going to kill him. And right now in the family, the spirit of my late boyfriend is haunting us as a family, but we keep on using some charms so that the spirit cannot disturb us. So me and my boyfriend, we met here in South Africa. He was a pastor, a junior pastor. I was happy, even though I grew up in the white garment church. I started dating him, and I knew that there was going to be a lot of confusion because of the way that we believe in the Bible and the way that people from the Pentecostal church believe in the Bible. But we worked it out until he won me over, and I started going to the Pentecostal church with him. And my parents, they did not like it. And I did not know that my father, he was a ritualist. That was why he was hating on my boyfriend, because each and every time after we would have finished praying, then I would feel like there will be an energy that will be each and every time after we would have finished praying, then I would feel this spirit that will be leaving my body. So I then told my boyfriend, and he said that we were supposed to fast. Then I started to have a lot of dreams. I would see my father will come to me, and he will be holding a very big manhood, which was more like a toy. And he will start to make love to me using that manhood that he will be holding. And after that, he will then say, I want you to dump your boyfriend because he is disturbing my business. I want you to dump him because I have dedicated you to this manhood, for this manhood is your husband. Don't you know that this is your husband? So each and every time after I would have that strange dream, then I would tell my boyfriend, and we'll wake up and pray. So me and him, we then thought of returning back to Zim, because he was like, since we are not sleeping together, because this was what he had said. He said that I am not going to sleep with you until I would have married you. We returned back home. First, we went to his village, and when we arrived there, my mother-in-law, she was someone who was very prayerful. After that, we then went and visited my family. When we went to visit my family, my father, he was really angry. He was really angry, and he left the village, and he said that he wanted to go somewhere where he had gotten a peace job. Me and my husband, we then returned back to work to South Africa. At that time, he had paid part of my bride price. Then we started sleeping together. But the strange stuff that started happening to my husband was that each and every time when he would have slept with me, the next morning you will see like a lot of small blisters that will be all over his manhood. But these blisters, like, they will just go away on their own. So my father I then told my auntie, and my auntie then went and reported this issue to my father. Then my father said that we were supposed to return back to Zim so that we can see what was wrong, because I was failing to fall pregnant as well. We returned back home, and my father then said that he wanted to go to church with his son-in-law. When he said this, it was somewhere around 5 p.m. So on that same evening, it was my father and my two brothers. They then went to church, and my husband, he had tried to refuse, but out of respect, he just went out with his in-laws. Along the way, that was when my brother took the axe that he was hiding and he gave it to my father. So it was my father who started striking my husband on his back with that axe until he fell down. When they saw that he had fallen down, they kept on chopping him, and then they went and they threw him into the river. So after they had done this, then my father came and confessed to me that this is what he had done. That was when he told me that he was a ritualist, and me getting married to this man, it had brought so much trouble for him in his business. And he said that he had been told by his tokologists that he was supposed to murder my husband, otherwise he was going to die or to run mad. I started crying. Even though I was crying, my mother told me that I was not supposed to cry. I was supposed to shut up because I was the one who had brought all of this upon my family. So my husband, he was murdered by my father, and they did not want me to go and report to the police. So I stayed like this for almost a week. And then one day, when I got the chance, I just went out and I went straight to this other police camp, but it was just a base where police, but it was not like, but I then went to the police camp and I told the police, I then went to the police camp. So I then went to this other police camp where I reported my father that he had murdered my husband. So my father was arrested. So my father, he has since passed away, but two of my brothers, they are at Chikurubi maximum prison. They both helped my father to murder my husband. So after this, that was when the family came. When the family came, they then said that we were supposed to visit a traditional healer. Otherwise, the spirit of my late husband was going to finish us off, because after the relatives of my husband had came, that was when they told us that we were supposed to pay them, but they were going to wait for the spirit of my late husband to start speaking first. So we waited and we waited. So we waited and we waited, and then our neighbors started telling us that each and every night when they would go outside, they would see that there will be a fire that will be dancing in the middle of the compound. Then we knew that this was the ghost of my husband. And the day that I saw the ghost of my husband, I had gone to fetch water. It was late. It was around 6 p.m. when I had gone to fetch water. When I was returning back from the river, that was when I saw that there was a man that was crying and he was walking in front of me. He then said that, "It is I. Can't you see that it is me, your husband? Your father is the one who killed me." Then the spirit of my late husband then started burning, and he started burning as he was screaming. Then the fire exploded. Brother Nashi, I ran so hard on that day. I threw away that bucket that was full of water that I was carrying on my head, and I ran so much. When I arrived back home, I saw a very small dancing fire. When I arrived at our compound, I then saw a little flame that was burning as it was dancing in the middle of our compound, and it started flying up and up until it exploded. I rushed into the kitchen where my mom and some of my siblings were, and they said that they knew everything that had happened to me because they had been watching that little flame that had been dancing in the middle of the compound. So our relatives said, before this spirit of your late husband has finished us, we need to make a plan. We then visited this other traditional healer. When we visited that traditional healer, unfortunately, this is what we did. We had to save the whole family. As you know that in our country, the government has since said that when you are repaying this avenging spirit, you are not supposed to pay it with the life of another person, but we did this in secret. We spoke with my late husband's spirit. The traditional healer was the one who spoke with the spirit, and then we told him that we wanted to offer him a wife, and we then took my late sister's daughter, and then we made her to sit on the reed mat. At that time when we did this, she was only 5 years old, and she did not even understand what we were doing to her, and we were marrying her off to this avenging spirit. As she was sitting on that reed mat, she was then given a calabash that was full of traditional beer, and she was then told to pour it onto the ground. When she was pouring it onto the ground, she was accepting the terms and conditions that she will never be married in her life, for as a family we had married her off to the spirit of my late husband. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our dear sister right there. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Yo, dedicating the life of your late sister's daughter, only 5 years old. Strange things do happen in this world.